Before we continue today's session, we'd like to do an acknowledgement of traditional lands. Royal Roads University acknowledges that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Esquimalt and Songhees ancestors and families. It is with gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. So today's session is the MBA in Executive Management. I'm joined here by Dr. Charles Krusekopf, the program head. I'm also joined by alumni Kendall Watson and Leah Mclaughlin. They are both MBA grads, and they'll be speaking to us today in the session. And I'm really looking forward to the question and answers period that we have planned with them. And my name is E-Mba Angus, and I'm an education advisor. So the agenda for today is a welcome and get to know one another with a quick poll. I'm actually going to launch the really quick poll right now. So if everybody can look at their screens, you will see a poll pop up here in just a moment. Give me a thumbs up if you see the poll, or you can just start answering the poll and I'll know you see it. So the question is, which MBA program delivery are you interested in? And you can select all that apply. If you're not sure, select not sure. MBA on campus is one of the options, and MBA blended, which is a combo of online and residencies, is the other option. And we'll go into detail about all of this. Okay, I'll give it a few more seconds here, and then I'll end the polling. Okay, I'll share the results here. It looks like we have about 62% in the room here who are interested in the MBA blended, with about 19% MBA on campus and 19% not sure yet. Awesome, that's a great split. And hopefully by the end of today's session, you'll feel a bit more sure about which one you're leaning towards. And the next thing on our agenda is the brief overview of the Royal Roads University experience, program-specific information. We're going to hear from MBA alumni Kendall and Leah. We'll go through the application process and requirements, and questions are answered throughout. So the chat is a great way to pop in a question if you have anything that comes up that you're wanting to know about. We'll make sure to answer all questions at the end, but we will do our best to answer them throughout as well. We also have our enrollment advisors on today's Zoom session, so they'll be monitoring the chat and answering questions that way as well. Great, so our location, Royal Roads University, we're located in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. The closest nearest cities are Vancouver and Seattle. And the top 3 industries here in Victoria are advanced technology, tourism and hospitality, and education. And as I mentioned earlier with the weather, we have a really mild climate here all year round in Canada. And you can go hiking and biking most of the year. The weather is pretty temperate. It's beautiful here. We're pretty close to surfing. It's only a few hour drive away if you want to go surfing in Jordan River. And honestly, it's a wonderful place for both indoor and outdoor activities. Our space. So here is some images from our campus. The top left is Hatley Castle. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you actually recognize Hatley Castle from movies such as Deadpool or X-Men. And if you haven't seen those movies recently, or you haven't seen them yet, I highly recommend watching them just so you can point out the castle. And on the top right is a picture of a bridge in our Japanese garden on campus. We have a beautiful garden that you can walk through any time of year. And that's just one of the images from our garden. And the bottom left is a Esquimalt lagoon. So you can actually see the lagoon from our campus. And the bottom right is an image of online learning. We have been online learning and online teaching for over 25 years here at Royal Roads University. And why explore Royal Roads University? Well, here we see life as a qualification. We understand that everybody's path to where they are right now is different. Whether you've been working or going to school, we understand it is all different. And we really respect and appreciate that. And that's why we have both our standard admissions and our flexible admission, which I will get into more detail later on. And we also really believe in first names first. It's important to us. We have very small classes. Profs here, they know your name because you're more than just a student number to us. Your individual journey and your path is very unique, just like your name. And we really do believe in learning based on life experience. And here with our cohort models at Royal Roads University, you'll be building connections for life. Your network, your cohort, you'll be supporting each other through your program And we find our alumni network is very strong, and cohorts continue to support each other through life. And from day one, Royal Roads, we were built differently. We were built to have blended and online programs. And we'll talk more about how we're different here at Royal Roads. We're also a changemaker campus. So Royal Roads University is recognized for being a leader in change and social innovation. And we're a global network of over 40 universities and colleges committed to advancing social innovation and change making. That's the Ashoka U Changemaker campus. Wonderful. So now we're going to dive into program structure. I'm going to invite Dr. Charles Krusekopf.
Hello, yes, I'm Charles Krusekopf. So I'm the program head, and then I'm also a professor, and I teach in the area of international business with a specialty in Asia Pacific. And so good to see our friends from Bangladesh and India and around the world joining us. We do one of the specializations I'll show. We take students to Asia on a study tour. I am coming to you from the Chanu First Nation traditional territories here in Mclaughlin, BC at Beecher Bay, just outside near the Royal Roads campus. They were just saying yesterday how beautiful the campus this time of year, the rhododendrons and other flowers on campus are really blooming. So don't cross your health zone boundaries, but if you're in Victoria or nearby, you can come on campus and have a look. We are all teaching and learning from home ourselves these days, but campus is open and the gardens are open if you want to come and visit. So I'm going to talk a bit about the program structure and including, so the traditional program, as Imara said, we've had our program running now for over 20 years in the MBA program. We have more than 2,000 alumni from the program. And so our blended program is the program that we've had running from the start. And this fall, starting online in November and on campus in January, we're going to have our first on-campus group joining. So quite excited about that. So the program overall, we say 51 credits. Each class is about 3 credits. We have some 6-credit classes. And then you can move through the program and complete it either in 18 months or 31 months. And I think our alumni guests, I won't talk too long because our alumni are the ones who really are the ones you need to talk to and hear from on it. In terms of, how did you choose between 18 and 31-month program? The 18-month program, you move through some of the online classes. This is for the blended program. You move through some of the online classes faster. And then the 31-month program, you take those over a longer period of time. The on-campus program will be about 18 months. It's about 12 months of classes, and then you'll be doing your projects and all to finish up. The blended offering includes, starting again in January, but for our upcoming July intake, which there's only a few weeks left for the application process. I'm not sure if any of you all are in that process, but that July intake will be fully online because, of course, we're not all traveling and free to gather here in BC. And so we'll be running that first, what we say, residency in the online fashion for that incoming cohort. We have quite a strong group of people coming into both the 18 and 31-month program starting in July. In January, as it looks right now, and based upon the provincial health guidelines, we will be back on campus, and our residency, so the intake in January 2022, and then again in July 2022, will be back on campus, and we'll have our 3-week residencies on campus. So next intake online, and then after that. And as I said, the on-campus program will launch on campus in January 2022 as well. All right, next. So our program focus and sort of what really differentiates or makes our program different from some of the other programs. So one, people point out that our MBA is an MBA in executive management. And then they say, well, how is it different than an executive MBA, an E-Mba program? And we have similarities to E-Mba programs in that in both of those programs, they put a heavy emphasis on work and life experience. that you need to have a significant amount of work experience. And so our minimum amount of work experience is 7 years, including 3 years of management experience. And the average age in our blended program right now is around 40. And so people have often 15 or 20 years of work experience. So people have a lot of work, leadership, and life experience that they bring into the classroom. So you will really benefit. And again, I'll defer to our alumni, but I know as an instructor, we really benefit and engage with the students who are all out there working full-time with a lot of work experience, and bring that experience to the classroom and work together. And we have a very diverse cohort, people coming from all areas of different organizations, businesses, government, nonprofits. You'll see with our guest today, they come from different backgrounds, and then they're applying the MBA into their work life. And that's really what it's meant for. There will be people who focus more on finance or IT, people who focus more on HR issues, some people who are executive directors, people who bring a variety of different experience into the program. So in the program, we very much teach and learn in this applied format, and in a format where you're expected to be able to take your learning, take what we're doing in the program, and bring it directly into your workplace, and build this network with the other people in the program who become really your very, very close collaborators, friends, and your network that you will continue even after you leave the program. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, in the blended program, you can choose either the 18-month or 31-month. In the 18-month, what you're doing in most terms, you're taking 2 online classes at one time. And in the 31-month, you sort of slow that down and take 1 online class during those periods. And the people who take, either whatever fits for you. The program is exactly the same. What you cover is exactly the same. It's just the time and sort of intensity that you take the program in. People ask, if I start in the 18-month program, can I switch? Yes, people do that. And again, our alums can talk about, I'm sure they know people, maybe they did themselves, switched between those 2 streams. Because all the courses are the same, we just have to look at your schedule and make a schedule that makes sense for you. You move through the program as a cohort, so you'll be in those classes during the time that you're in the program together with the people that you entered the program with, whether you're in the 18-month or 31-month. Everyone will start, so in July, we have both programs starting at the same time, and everyone's in the same courses. And there's some crossover, and then you'll separate as you move into your later classes. On campus, it's an 18-month program where you do about 12 months of classes on campus, and then you're working on your organizational management project and finishing up the program, and you'll be doing some online classes for your specialization because it gives you wider choice. So the on-campus program overall is 18 months, intensive program, which means that it meets the requirements for the work authorization post-graduation. Next. So our on-campus program, as you said, this is a new offering. So we will continue our existing blended offerings just as we have. Our new offering will be this on-campus program, and this is building off the strength Royal Roads also has our Master of Global Management, MGM program, a program that I've worked quite a bit with. That program has been running for several years and has quite a large number of students. This new on-campus MBA offers a chance for those students who have significant work and management experience and who want to be in a cohort of people with that similar background and similar focus to achieve their MBA. And it really came about because we had a number of students asking us, we really are interested in an on-campus MBA option. Some of these are both students from within Canada, domestic students, and international students who are looking often to continue to work in Canada after their graduation and completion of the program. So this will meet the requirements for the postgraduate work permit, and really will be a chance for people who have significant experience to connect into that network, to connect with our alumni, to connect with our business partners and organizational partners within Canada, both as they're learning and as they graduate and integrate into the workforce. Next, please. So some of the key things that you'll be doing during the program include all students, no matter which version of the program that you're doing, will do this organizational management project, OMP. And so the OMP is really a research project that you do for a client, and it can be an organization that you work with directly. We can help you find an organization or a project, and you will do research work, produce a report, produce something that you'll give back to the client and to meet the requirements for the program. So the OMP is a place that it may be people in the program are thinking about exploring a new avenue in their career. They may be looking to take something on within their organization that they haven't had a chance, a new skill, a new area within their organization they want to take on. Or as they say, if you want to sort of shift your career or shift your focus, do an OMP project for an organization or on a topic that gives you some skills, gives you something to take away that you can utilize to make that career shift. At the capstone, which Leah and Kendall just went through, they had a live business challenge. We have businesses that come in and present about the business, and then you work in a team with your other students in order to give recommendations, to analyze those businesses and provide reports and recommendations back to them. And we have this integrated into the first residency as well. And as I say, because the program is very applied focused, we try to integrate as much sort of real cases and things, both cases when you're working on papers, assignments for your classes, you can choose to work on your own company, your own situation, and apply that. And then also through these live business challenges, you'll see some other businesses and other industries and apply your knowledge there. Next slide, please. So we have also implemented a new program, which is our dual degree program, where you can do 2 different master's programs and get some recognition of courses between the programs, so you can do the 2 in less time. So as I mentioned, this is our Master of Global Management degree. This program is an international business focused program, which is offered at Royal Roads in both blended and on-campus formats. We've got quite a number of students going through that MGM program, and then they were interested in being able to acquire their MBA. So we worked out a pathway for students to be able to get their MBA after they've completed their MGM program. Or vice versa, if you do our MBA and you want to have a real international business focus, you would be able to do the MGM program, and we cross-recognize credits so that you can finish the second program in about 12 months. And it just allows you to do 2 master's degrees, and they don't have to be right one after the other. You can take what a number of MGM students, for example, or MBA students who they've graduated, now they've been working for a few years, and they want to come back and do another degree to re-engage a cohort, to re-engage learning. And so now they're coming back and enrolling in the second program, and we recognize the credits from the previous work that you've done. So this is something that's an option. And anyone who maybe is a graduate of another Royal Roads master's program or graduate certificate program, we will recognize credits from your program into MBA. So reach out and let us know if you've already taken some courses or program at Royal Roads. We can look at that as well. Next slide, please. So our specializations. So this is an area that we've changed and done a lot of work on in the last couple of years, really opening up and allowing a much wider variety of specialization options within the program. So basically, Royal Roads has about 25 different graduate certificates. And these graduate certificates are also often in professional applied areas where you can get different professional certifications or professional experience in topics such as, so I just did the executive coaching program, the graduate certificate in executive coaching, and I'm getting my certified executive coaching certification through the International Coaching Federation based upon the study I did in that graduate certificate. If I wanted to do the Royal Roads MBA, actually I hadn't thought of this, I can come back, I can do the Royal Roads MBA and transfer my 3 classes from that graduate certificate into the MBA and have those recognized within the MBA as my specialization. So you can do a graduate certificate at Royal Roads prior to the start of our program, or you can do a graduate certificate during the MBA program as a specialization option. So this allows you a wide choice. I'm going to show some options here in just a minute of all these different, and there's a webinar that we've done that really focuses on these different specialization options. And I'd encourage you, if you're interested in that, to watch that webinar and learn more about some more details of how this works with all the different options. Next slide, please. So we do offer several graduate certificates and specializations that are offered directly within the MBA program, and those include management consulting. And I understand that Royal Roads has created more certified management consultants through the CMC, the Certified Management Consulting Canada partnership. We have graduated more certified management consultants than any other school in Canada, even though there's some pretty big business schools out there. A lot of people are interested in this management consulting area and get there through their specialization in the MBA program, this graduate certificate we offer. They're able to get their pathway to their CMC designation. We have a leadership courses and leadership specialization that's offered through the MBA program with a focus on emotional intelligence and leading globally intercultural teams and global teams. And then we have the program that I work quite a bit with, the international business area. We have, if you're doing the summer start, you're on track that you can do the Grenoble program in France with our partner school, the Grenoble School of Management. If you're doing the January intake, then we have the option where you can go to the Asia Pacific. And that includes, so we take a study tour, we do some online studies of the different economies in the Asia Pacific, and then we do a study tour to Asia. So we've taken students, I've taken students to Shanghai, to Ho Chi Minh, to Hong Kong, Taipei, Seoul, Tokyo. So in past years, we've gone to a number of different cities across East Asia. Haven't been to India and Bangladesh. I've been, but haven't taken students on this program there, mostly because of the travel time. We just don't have a long time to do our study tour, but it is still covered in the program and quite interesting. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the graduate certificates offered outside the MBA program at other areas. As I say, across Royal Roads, there's about 25 graduate certificates, sometimes affiliated with other programs like leadership or communications at Royal Roads, and sometimes they're offered by our professional studies department. So we have project management, change management, this executive coaching that I did, human resource management, corporate social innovation. And almost all of these are associated with the professional body in that area. So you do the change management, then you can use the academic courses and credits as part of your certification to become a change management professional, for example. So that's how the graduate certificates are really aligned often with these different accreditations and professional designations that are received from these independent professional accrediting bodies. Next slide, please. So yes, and I see, I haven't been watching the chat closely, but those of you who already have a graduate certificate from Royal Roads, we're not recognizing graduate certificates from other schools into the program at this time, but if you have a graduate certificate that you've done Or as they say, if you've done another master's program at Royal Roads, talk to us, because we will then be able to recognize the credits from your previous work into the MBA program as your specialization within the program. So you can do the graduate certificate before you start MBA and transfer those credits in. So some people use it as a stepping stone, or maybe you already have the graduate certificate completed. You can do it then. Most people are doing these as their specializations. There's a time period after you finish your other coursework for you to do your specialization, and you can complete your graduate certificate there. This is one place that the 31-month students have a little bit more flexibility because they have more time in their schedule, but everyone has the chance to do these during the MBA program. And finally, and it doesn't cost you anymore, it's all part, the tuition that you pay basically covers the courses that you would take as part of the program. You can also come back. We have our alumni here, and just like I've come back now and done this graduate certificate in executive coaching, please, people get torn. They say, well, I really want to do management consulting, but I also want to go to Asia. So I say, it's fine. You can come back after you finish the MBA. It's still open. That's why these graduate certificates are standalone programs that you can come back and take after you've done the MBA as well. Okay, next. We do have, and some people ask about, so we got a partnership together with what's called edX and MITx in particular. That's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT in Boston. And they offer through their edX affiliation what are called micromasters. And these are online MOOC-based programs for people to specialize, and these are in fairly technical fields. So I'll say they're offered by the engineering and technical departments at MIT, of course, one of the top technology schools. You can do this program. It's really designed, and I would say anyone who's interested in this, it's best designed for you to take your MicroMaster prior to starting your MBA. And that's really how we had it mainly designed. And this is for people who are interested in more the engineering and technical side of things like supply chain management and manufacturing management, statistics and data science. They have a new one now in finance. So if you really want to dive in, and it's a lot of math and deep dive into the more technical side, if that really suits you, you can go on and you can start taking those MicroMaster courses from MIT, and you register directly with MIT, you take the courses. It takes at least a year to finish one of these MicroMasters, which is why it doesn't fit that well if you're already in the MBA program. These are MOOC, meaning all online courses, but they're offered on a schedule, and they have exams that you have to complete in order to get credit to bring them into the program. So if you're interested in this, we can talk about it. In general, the students who've looked at it while they're in the program find that while it's interesting, they just don't have the time in order to do it. But we have had students who've completed this. You can do your MicroMaster independently, and we've had students who complete their MicroMaster and then transfer it into our program when they come into the MBA. So that is open. Next, please. Now, my favorite part, we get to turn it over to the MBA alumni who will be really answering your questions. I'll go through some of the chat and look at questions, but these are the guys who've been through the program. I only teach and lead the program. These guys really understand and can answer your questions. Please offer them your questions, and we greatly appreciate their joining us. So I will turn it over to Leah and Kendall, who just graduated. As they say, graduation is coming, ceremony is coming up. They just finished the program earlier this year. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charles, and welcome, Kendall and Leah. This is a perfect opportunity for using the round of applause reactions function in Zoom. You can exercise that button. Awesome, thank you, everyone. So we have some questions for Leah and Kendall, and If any questions come up while we're talking, pop them in the chat and we'll do our best to ask them. So our first question is, and I'll start with Kendall. Tell us about yourself.
Sure. My name is Kendall. I live just outside of Edmonton, Alberta. So we're dealing with some snow the last couple of days. Welcome to the weather in Alberta. So Railroads is much nicer than what we have going on. I am a high school teacher. So I've actually been teaching in the classroom for, this is my 8th year. And I chose to do an MBA as opposed to a master's in educational leadership because I thought the business background would give me kind of a different perspective on education and hopefully eventually moving towards an administrative position. So I live here in Beaumont. I teach here in Beaumont at the high school, and I have a 1-year-old son that I chose to have during the program. Leah and I will both probably talk about that a little bit. Chose to have a baby during my program. I actually chose to get married during my program as well. I just did everything in my 31-month timeline. So I can go into more detail as we go through the questions, but yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Kendall. Wow, talk about doing a lot during 31 months. And Leah, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So my name's Leah Mclaughlin, and I live in snowy Calgary. So I see there's a few Albertans on the call, and there is a number of, I think, people from Alberta particularly that are in the program, at least from our cohort. So as E-Mba mentioned, Kendall and I were in the same cohort together. We both did the 31-month specialization together. In terms of my background, I've spent my career in human resources. I have an undergraduate degree in human resources, and it is where I've built my career. I lead an HR function for a multinational oil and gas organization here in Calgary. I really enjoy my job, and I had a 2-year-old son and was really enjoying my career, and I thought I needed to find another challenge to add into the mix. Went into the program like Kendall, chose to have another baby while in the program just to add a little more complexity to things. And Kendall and I both completed our program on time and quite successfully and enjoyed the journey. So perhaps I'll pause there and wait for some other questions.
Thank you, Leah. And Leah, I'll ask that next question of, so what drew you to Royal Roads University? I know you spoke a bit about what drew you to the MBA, but what drew you to Royal Roads in particular?
Sure. So when I was looking at different MBA programs, I wanted to find an opportunity where I could really hone in on the areas of my career that were of interest to me. So being leadership and emotional intelligence, I was drawn to the MBA specifically for the leadership specialization. I was really keen to take what I felt were my strengths and make them even stronger. So I noticed that specialization element of Royal Roads program really hit what I was looking for, and I didn't see that element in some other MBAs across Canada. I also felt that the blended approach of being able to be on campus, build relationships, be part of a learning community in a physical sense was really important. So that was another attraction. And actually my CEO at the time had a second property very close to the campus and raved about the experience of being in the environment. And so he also encouraged me to consider the campus, given that he actually resided in the area as well. So Royal Roads was just a fit for a number of reasons. The other reason I would mention, and what was already talked about, I really felt there was that sense of intimacy with the instruction. The class size was appropriate, the ability to work closely as a team, and that is the essence of this MBA program, is teamwork and collaboration, but also instruction that really resonated well for me.
Thank you, Leah. And over to you, Kendall, to talk about what drew you to Royal Roads and the MBA program.
Sure. So like Leah, I have 2 undergrads. I went to a giant university right out of high school and realized quickly on that I didn't like being a number. I preferred the more personal experience. So when I went back and did my education degree, I went to a smaller university. And so when I decided I was ready for my master's journey, I started researching smaller campuses, more intimate programs. And I actually had worked for the Red Cross in between before I became a teacher. And Royal Roads has a disaster management, a master's in disaster management. And so I actually had coworkers raving about the amazing experience at Royal Roads University. So it was one of the first universities I looked into for their MBA program. And being a teacher, I really wanted that in-class experience, but I didn't want to have to quit my job. So I was looking for an in-person experience that kind of dealt with that online. And the cherry on top of it all was working with a cohort. I really wanted a practical experience where I moved with people like-minded, grew together, and we could start and support each other kind of through the program. And so that's really what drew me to Railroads. The MBA, as I said, is a bit of a non-traditional master's for a teacher, but I grew up with a dad who was an accountant. So I very much grew up in the business world. We were always having conversations around businesses. I run a small karate club as a business, and the MBA was just one of those experiences that I knew I wanted that business perspective and to be able to bring it back into the education system. And Railroads offered that. They really welcomed non-traditional business minds into the program and different perspectives. And so it wasn't as huge a jump as I thought it was going to be. It was an excellent, excellent process.
Thank you, Kendall. And just while you're talking about what drew you to the program and kind of the questions you had, what kind of questions or concerns did you have when you were contemplating and when you were approaching returning back to school? Because we've all been there. It's a big decision.
Yeah, it sure is. You're absolutely correct. So as I said, I have 2 undergrad degrees already. I have a 4-year gap between my 2 undergrads. And so it wasn't a huge leap for me to suddenly make that decision to come back. But what was the huge leap was going from an undergrad mentality to a master's mentality. So I had lots of questions of time commitment, flexibility, what happens when real life gets in the way. And so reaching out, Railroads was really able to kind of accommodate that, explain that as you move through the process, you're on a team. There's that support mentality. There's great resources through Railroads. And I think the biggest thing is, make sure you have a good support network behind you, not just like at the school, but at home as well. Because as I said, I chose to get married, have a baby. And so I relied a lot on family and friends to help me work through that. And even just talk about the idea of, okay, I have to take away from my work and my personal life to commit to school. And it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was really, really good, but lots of conversation had to come from that. And I know Leah was in a similar position.
Thank you, Kendall. And Leah, I know you mentioned that you have a really good support system that was encouraging you to go to Railroads University. For you, what kind of questions or concerns did you have when you were contemplating and thinking about returning to school?
Sure. As I looked at the application process and filled it in, I had a lot of discussions with my leader about the journey as well. I only had about 4 years of leadership experience under my belt, and there was a lot of questions around, am I capable? Will I bring enough to my team? Will I be able to contribute? Will I flourish like I did with my undergraduate? And I think that was probably the biggest piece. And of course, as Kendall mentioned, we are capable and we're able to address those things and push ourselves to learn more than we even realize our potential exists. The biggest question or concern I had was my workload was very demanding at the time. I was struggling to complete my work in 50 hours a week. I'm sure many on the call can relate to that. Work is demanding and personal life also, right? As I said, I had a young child when I started the program, had another in. And so my thoughts were, can I be a mom? Can I continue to do well in my career? Can I continue to grow my career? And can I excel at school at once? So there was a lot of preparation in terms of, can I be successful in all of these different buckets of my life, including this program.
Thank you, Leah, and congratulations. Here you are. You're at the end of the program. Both of you are. So for you, Leah, what was like the most rewarding part about the program? It sounds like you've kind of listed a few of the challenges you had, but what was the most rewarding part?
When I look back at the journey of the MBA, I think hands down, the most valuable learning and the most rewarding aspect was the collaborative, team-focused aspect. Not just building relationships and having lifelong relationships that are continuing beyond the program, but what was so challenging and also rewarding is working with people who think so differently than I do, that come from different streams, whether it's engineering or IT or risk, mixing with HR, right? We had different views, and it created a lot of conflict in the mix of things, but team is such an important part of how this program unfolds, and you work through things and you find success, and you learn from people who think so differently, and you really learn a lot about yourself in the process. It requires vulnerability and personal growth alongside the academia. And I think the most rewarding part was being able to learn about myself and learn about other people through the teamwork element of the program. I think that was the most value I got, and it has been tremendously rewarding.
Thank you, Leah, for sharing that. And for you, Kendall, what were the most rewarding parts and the most challenging parts of the program?
You know, I really want to build on what Leah said. I think one of the biggest rewards was the personal growth that came from some of those tough conversations, pardon me, and just the different perspectives that everybody brought in. And so you'd be working with a real company, a real example, and you realize like the responsibility that came with that through the program. But at the end of the day, we walked away having given our best to them, but also grown our best through conversations with our team, and just that mentality of it's not just an academic piece. We want to help them because we'd like to see this business succeed. Our two major businesses that we actually worked with in our MBA program, it's so much fun to hear where they're at now. I still get updates from the most recent one that we just worked with, and that company is like going crazy right now. And so it's really neat to realize that practical application that came from the personal growth and challenge, but also that cohort teammate mentality where together we can succeed. And that's huge. That is absolutely huge. This is not a single person process. Leah, I see that you want to pop in on that.
Yeah, I absolutely want to do. Kendall and I got the privilege of working together on our last project, the one Charles spoke about, that capstone client. And it was really interesting. Our role was to help this growth company figure out where in the world should they expand to next. And we built a model and we made recommendations for them. And I think it was just last week I saw in the news, they are expanding to one of the top 2 recommended locations we chose. And that is incredibly rewarding to think our application, our learning, and our recommendation was actually followed through for that company. Tremendous reward in that way.
Yeah, huge. It was really neat. Actually, to build on that, Leah, you reminded me, one of the challenges that I put out for myself at the end of this program was I wanted to be on an all-female team for my final residency. And Rural Roads gave us the opportunity, because we weren't allowed to come back in person. We had to do a virtual residency. We got to build our own teams. And so I reached out to a handful, and Leah being the first team member that I reached out to build an all-female team for our final residency. And we were told very early on that was going to be a challenge for us, was that an all-female perspective could be really challenging and actually could be a problem in this, like, helping out a client. And in the end, we proved to ourselves and also to the rest of our cohort as well as the company that we could pull through. And that was actually just something that we set for ourselves and we wanted to succeed. And so I think that's worth pointing out. Rural Roads does give us opportunities and challenges us to build on our own skill set. And so that's what I walk away with, knowing that I put that challenge out there and then we pushed ourselves to succeed to it as well.
Wow, congratulations on that accomplishment, to positively impact a business and then see it in the news that was part of your recommendation. That must feel amazing. Congratulations. And so while you're doing all of this, Kendall, how did you balance work, home, and school? And Leah, I'm going to get to you right after on that.
You can see I'm laughing already as this question comes up, because it wasn't easy. And I still look back and I kind of go, how did I do it? I have friends that, pardon the language, but think I'm batshit crazy for having attempted to do this. But you know what? You take it one day at a time. You take it one course at a time, and you build a phenomenal network. You rely on your cohort members. You rely on your team members. You build that support and that honesty, and you just become very, very efficient. So I teach. So I teach during the day. I'm in front of up to 120 kids because I teach high school. So I have 4 courses throughout my day. So I don't have a lot of flexibility to meet with teammates or anything during the day. And a lot of my teammates couldn't either because their jobs were demanding. And so we just made regular commitments, picked out hours in the evening, stayed on top of the work, and really just supported each other through. And then there were moments where we just said, I can't do this. And our team picked up those pieces and really supported each other. And we all had those moments throughout the program. So as I said, I started in person. I was lucky enough to actually have Res 1 in person. I had to take a leave of absence from my job to do that. And it was well worth it. It was great. Coming back and adjusting from in-person lessons or classes to online was a bit of an adjustment. But again, it was just about clear communication, keeping a set schedule, and then knowing that I had a support network. Yes, there were tears, I will fully admit it. Yes, there were some very, very, very late nights and early mornings to get it done, but it was doable, but it was about keeping a set schedule and just relying on my teammate and family and friends to keep me going through it. And when I started that 31 months, it seemed like forever. And now I look back and I go, how did we finish so soon?
Thank you, Kendall. And for you, Leah, like how did you balance work, home, and school?
Yeah, that's probably, that deserves the degree in itself, I think, the balance, what you learn about perspective and time management. In the program, what is often discussed are team agreements. As you start new courses with new teams, you set expectations, you talk openly, you formulate some accountabilities. I really think that there needs to be team agreements with your spouse or your family or your friends to set those expectations early. This is what you're going to experience. It's going to be ugly sometimes, and it's going to be really rewarding other times. So in terms of the balance, I think a lot of it comes with honest conversation about the people in your life that look to you, and reaching out, and also realizing that you also need a village and support, and that it's okay to ask for help. So one of the first things I did was I hired someone to help me clean my house to make my life a little bit easier, to be honest. And I was perfectly capable of it, but that didn't mean I needed to do all of the things. So I tried to make steps that were just a little bit easier for me. If somebody offered help in my friend circle, I would accept that help. I also learned to set expectations with friends that didn't understand balancing a master's program with a demanding job. That was really important, to recognize that you can't make all the social commitments all the time. The same thing with your classmates at school, just being honest and transparent about, hey, I can't meet on Fridays, that's my family time, right? Or that's the time I want to go to yoga because I need time for myself. Whatever it might be, I think the balance really comes with setting expectations and giving yourself grace as well. In my program, halfway through the program, I had my second child, and I took a pause. I wasn't able to complete a course. And so I really appreciated that there was some flexibility. I was able to still complete on time. And actually there were some benefits because I took that course later and got to meet a whole new cohort and build new relationships just from that one course. So it was nice to have the flexibility in the program to support and to be able to chat with my instructors and say, here's what's going on in my life. How can we get through this without delaying the program? So yeah, I think a lot of it is about setting expectations and really giving yourself grace that there are going to be setbacks, there are going to be tears, there may be other coping mechanisms that need to come in. It's not easy, and that's what makes it so rewarding too.
Thank you, Leah. And to build on that, we're going to come up to our last question here, because we're then going to go into how to apply. So the last question I have for you, Leah, is do you have any advice or any final words for somebody considering the MBA?
Yeah, I think in addition to the things that we've already talked about, I would encourage individuals to think about why are you taking the MBA, so that when you finish and when you hit that milestone, you can acknowledge that sense of accomplishment and think about what you want to do with it. So from my example, I didn't pursue the MBA to vertically grow my career necessarily. I did happen to get a promotion to the head of my function during the program, so that certainly was rewarding. But I took the program because I was curious, I wanted to learn, I wanted to challenge myself, and I wanted to think differently. And so as I finished the program, so many people said to me, so what are you going to do with your career now? And I wanted to remind myself that it's okay. I didn't go into this to try to say, I need a new job, I need to find something different. What I'm going to do differently is apply my learning in my aspects of my role, enhance my business acumen, think differently in all aspects of my life. So I found that really interesting as I finished the program. So many people expected me apply for a new job, go to that next step. And that was certainly an aspect for some people that took the MBA, and that's fantastic. But my advice would be, think about why you're taking this MBA, consider that throughout the program, and don't lose sight of what this means to you, because as you get in the program, you'll see people have different intentions and ambitions, and those are all respectable, but stay true to why you're pursuing the MBA for your reason.
Thank you, Leah. That is a really great perspective to consider. And for you, Kendall, do you have any final words or advice for someone considering the MBA program?
Do it. Right, to build on what Leah said, make sure you know why you're doing it. Don't do it because your boss is telling you need to. It is a huge commitment. So make sure it's something that you want to do. I saw a transformation in how I thought and approached things. And so that's why my MBA, whether I become an administrator in a school or not, it transformed my thinking, and that has application in my day-to-day, both in my teaching job as well as my personal life. And so think about what Leah said, really truly decide why you want to do the MBA, and then stay true to that. And as your mind grows through the program, maybe those goals change along the way too, but be true to yourself for that one. It's a commitment.
Thank you. That is great advice. And this is great life advice beyond the MBA program. Thank you both. Thank you, Kendall. Thank you, Leah, for joining us today and sharing your insight into the program and your experience. We all really appreciate it. And I think this is another time for a reaction, round of applause, or even a party emoji reaction.
Thank you for providing us the opportunity to chat. I think Leah and I both value that as well.
Thank you. All right, and you're welcome to stay on the call. We might have a few moments at the end for some more questions. And now I'm going to jump into more about how to apply. All right. So how to apply? We have a few different ways to apply. And I want to start by talking about our admissions. So we have standard admissions. And so if you're wanting to apply through the standard admissions, it would be with the completion of a 4-year undergraduate degree in a related field from a recognized post-secondary institution, and normally at least around 7 years of full-time relevant work experience, with 3 years at a management level and increasing levels of responsibility. So this is the standard admission. Many people enter our MBA program through our flexible admission. And there is more details on both the standard and flexible on our website. So definitely refer there if you're wondering which category you fit into with your application. And also, if you do have questions, please reach out to enrollment, because they can help you and assess you on a case-by-case basis. So our flexible admission, to be considered for flexible admission, applicants would normally require approximately 10 years of full-time business and related work experience with increasing levels of responsibility. So both the flexible and standard, we want to see that increasing level of responsibility, and a combination of post-secondary and professional accredited qualifications. And to help you prepare for the MBA program, flexible admission applicants will normally be required to take academic writing and critical thinking and accounting through the Royal Roads University Continuing Studies. So the additional courses that might be a condition of admission to Royal Roads is the financial accounting and academic writing and critical thinking. And if you need to complete these courses, please select a course offering that ends a minimum of 5 weeks prior to your program start date. And I just saw in the chat, please reach out to an enrollment advisor before applying, because you don't self-select out. Reach out, see if you are a right fit, because they can help you assess that. And there's also a language requirement. So English is the primary language of instruction and communication at Royal Roads University. So if your primary language is not English, you must meet our English language requirements through one of 3 ways. The submission of an official English language proficiency score, graduation from college or university, which English was the primary language of instruction in an English-speaking country, or completion of a pathway program through the Global Learning and Language Center at Royal Roads University. So here are the key dates. These are also on the website, and all of this information is on the website as well. So the 18 and 31st month option start date is July 19th, 2021. So that's coming up soon, with the application deadline being June 1st, 2021. And the on-campus option start date is November 29th, 2021, with an application deadline of June 25th, 2021. Okay, here we are, how to apply. So it is an online application, so you will be required to set up an online account with the fee of $126.28. And you will be required to submit supporting documents as well, including an official transcript. For the official transcript, we do ask that you submit all official transcripts that are from post-secondary institutions currently or previously attended. And the transcripts are considered official when they're submitted directly to the registrar in a sealed envelope. And it has to be in the original institution sealed envelope. We also ask that you submit a detailed resume. So this is beyond the 1 or 2 page resume that you would use to apply for a position or a job. It's a detailed resume that includes information about your education, your work experience, your national and intercultural experience, your training and professional development, your volunteer experience. We have it all listed on the website too, so check it out. And when you're writing it, make sure that you refer to the requirements on our webpage there. And in addition, we also ask for a personal statement and a statement of, which is like the statement of intent. And you're going to answer these questions while you're writing this. And I actually have a colleague who really clarified why they were taking the program when they did their statement of intent for themselves. Just like Leah and Kendall were saying, that they really figured out why they were taking the program and why the MBA was important for them. So a couple of the questions, they're also detailed on the website, but a couple of the questions you want to answer are: what influenced your decision to apply to the Royal Roads MBA? What do you hope to contribute to this program in university? What training and academic courses have you done that relate to management? Also, what experience have you had with distance and online education? And your experience working in a team. So these are questions that you will answer in your personal statement and statement of intent. And it really will solidify why you want to do the program. We also ask for a writing sample and 2 letters of reference. And the preferred letters of reference are academic and professional references. And pro tip, share your personal statement or your statement of intent with the person writing your reference letter so they understand your motivation for applying to this program. It will help them then write their letter of reference. Okay, how am I doing for time? I know we're just about at the end, so I'll mention briefly that we do have financial aid options available. I would check out the website and contact financial aid and award specialists if you have any questions. We also have our enrollment advisors who can help with application support. They are so knowledgeable and so helpful, so please reach out. We have their contact information here. So the top information is for a domestic enrollment advisor, and the bottom information there is if you're an international student and wanting to ask enrollment questions. All right, so here we are at the very end. I know if some of you have to pop off, I know it's just about 10 o'clock. We will be sending out a recording to everybody, but if a few of you have time to stay on, we can do some questions and answers right now. Awesome, so I'm just gonna ask you, Charles, I know you've been looking at the chat, if you had any questions that you saw that you'd like to address right now.
Yeah, I mean, Derek asked a general question about how does a master's course differ from undergrad? Is course delivery and the teaching approach altered for the mature student? So I would say, you know, there is a big difference in the sense of, you know, being in a classroom full of people whose average age is 40 and who have a lot of work experience. Some of the content and some of the chapters you might cover or material that you cover is similar, but just the discussions that you have, the life experience, the things that people bring into that discussion and the way that it applies back to what you're doing within work is just very different, you know, and truly for traditional undergrad, that's where I started my university teaching career, teaching 19-year-olds. They're often interested, they're eager, they can memorize and repeat things, but they don't have a lot of lived life experience. And this program is definitely one where people have a tremendous amount of lived life experience. And interesting, you know, I found it very interesting because people come from across Canada, across sectors, so nonprofit, government, companies, big companies, their own family-owned companies, a whole range of different organizations. And so that you get a lot of different perspectives and a lot of experience. And so when you're on the team or you're working with people, or, you know, when you're taking accounting together, those people that have more experience in that often jump in and offer some support to those who have less, or people, I rely a lot. HR is an area I don't know a lot on, but the HR issues come up all the time. So, you know, your colleagues who have HR experience can really help. So, question for Leah or Kendall. Oh. So the 31-month program on average, how many hours a week? So that's always a good one.
Cool. I think it's a great question because you need to be prepared for what you're getting into. I I think I would say you could spend on average 15 hours a week on the program, but if you want the A, and if you want to be that stellar team member, or if you're particularly keen, it could be more. There were some weeks where I probably spent 25 hours, maybe even more than that. But 15 hours is reasonable. You can do it well. You just have to focus and think and be organized in what you need to deliver. So I'd say 15 hours is reasonable.
Yeah, just to build on what Leah said, it also was course dependent. So if you're working on a project with your team, you probably put in more hours that week because you had to have more calls. Other weeks, if you were doing an independent project, maybe it was a little lighter in the evenings and you just spent your time writing your paper, doing your research, your independent. Every course had a team component and some individual components. So that also played a role in the time commitment.
Yeah, and related to the piece of difference between undergrad and grad classes, so now we've, I think, eliminated, we've been working towards it, I think we've eliminated all the exams. We don't have exams, we have projects, right? So you're in a typical class, you're doing 1 or 2 individual assignments of different types, and then a team project. So again, it's very much, in many of those individual assignments, you can shape them towards an area of interest, something you want to learn more about, something that's relevant to your context, rather than necessarily, you know, again, and we don't use a huge number of textbooks, and we don't use a huge number of, like I say, kind of, okay, here's the fixed body of knowledge you need to know. It's more like, okay, to be an effective manager, to be an effective leader, how are you going to approach? There's no one single answer. There's no one way to do it. It depends a lot on your context, a lot on your situation, but you'll pick up a lot of things. You'll say, okay, yeah, that's interesting how I can approach that situation, or I see that in a new way now. And people talk about research skills, being able to build your research skills. So when you come to a meeting, rather than just presenting an idea and people say, well, that's interesting, you're able to come to the meeting, present your idea and say, okay, here, I've researched this, here's some data to support my points, here's some other readings that you could do, you know, these sorts of things, so that you're able to build a stronger case to support the things that you're interested in.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Thank you for elaborating on the experience and then the time commitment that is required of the program. And I think we're going to wrap up today's session, just being mindful of time. So thank you, Charles. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Kendall. It was so informative and I learned a ton from all of you. And thank you to everyone who attended today's session and to the group that was supporting behind the scenes with answering questions. If you have any questions or anything, we're just an email or a phone call away. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all again soon.
Yeah, thanks. And if anyone has specific questions about the program, please just contact me. I'm happy to talk with you further.
And we also have an upcoming webinar. It's our last one of the Insights for Action series, and it's creating systemic change, integrating systems thinking and Indigenous wisdom. And that is next month. So make sure to join us for that. And we're just going to, it's a topical webinar.
Yeah, and we have the recordings of the past insights. I sent a couple of things to people. We've had this speaker series, and it's a feel for what types of speakers, types of issues and things that we'll address in the program as well. So watch some of the Insights for Action talks. Okay, thank you all. Have a great day.